Ladies and gentlemen, all rise for the RankKing's court.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the RankKing's Court. The Rank King himself is here, as always, enjoying a nice, cold as the Rockies, Coors Light, as always.
Shameless plug.
Love to see
Absolutely
it.
shameless.
Love to see it.
Thank you again for Coors Light. We love you guys. Everything about it is awesome. I love the beer just as much as I love everyone in this room right now. Guys? No response.
It kind of
Yeah, you kind of
Yeah,
cut out for a
like,
second there, so I don't know what the hell you said.
Yeah, I don't understand what that was. Was that like you trying to like make us say
Trying-
something,
trying
or
to talk us through your mind.
No, I said I enjoy this beer just as much as I enjoy everyone in that room right now. And I said, "What's
Ah.
up, guys? How we
Oh,
doing?"
yeah,
you see
we
that?
didn't hear that part.
Yeah, we didn't hear that part. I think
we
you
heard
were.
the first part.
He was so excited to do the sponsor plug that I think he kind of like went a little overboard and just went from the mic way too fast than he normally does.
Yep.
But hey,
Might have, but how are we doing tonight, guys?
There you
we're
go.
doing great, Austin. How are you doing? We have a special guest tonight.
We do. Welcome, as always, Steph,
Hello.
our special guest tonight for our topic. She loves this franchise. She loves everything about it. She constantly plays it. I constantly am on it. Greg and Vo don't like scary things, so
I
this
like
is going to be
scary
a big
things.
wheelhouse.
I don't like
scary things. Don't assume that about me.
I don't like scary things scaring things. It's simple.
We got to get
Shame.
Vo to play, and we got to get Greg over
We
his
do.
chair.
But yes, Steph, welcome. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How about you, buddy? I was right by
Good.
your house earlier today.
Oh, that's cryptic. In a
So on point for the show today. It's
I was
perfect.
at work. I work 5 minutes from your house.
That's true. But yes, tonight we
He's
have a
scared.
very, very loving topic that I enjoy so much that I was practicing a little bit earlier just to get in the mood of everything that was going on. Unfortunately, we can't move on until we exactly know where the hell we're at.
Well, we are in one location. You are in a separate
You
location.
make this joke every time and it doesn't get funnier.
That-
But yes,
I think that was the first time.
Yeah,
he's
this is
ever
the
said
first
that.
time I've ever said it.
I
so-
swear, I
watched
swear
your
you've
show
done
and
this
I have never
before.
heard
I
you
mean,
say that before.
No, I have not done this before, and I
Okay.
don't appreciate your tone. While
Yeah.
while the three of us are live today from the Union Fitness Studios, located on the North Shore of Pittsburgh. Union Fitness is more than a traditional gym; it's a place where you can transform yourself inside and out with a variety of classes based around fitness, yoga, strength, and performance training. At Union Fitness, they believe that it is their duty to hold themselves and their clients to a higher standard. They practice what they preach and uphold the values that make Union Fitness the community that it is. Go to unionfitness.com today to sign up for a consultation through Union. There is strength.
I'm not doing that.
Steph will get on this.
Show-
Part of the show,
Come
Steph.
on, what?
You embarrassed?
Yeah, come on, you flex. Come on.
I don't have anything to flex.
Oh my
Neither
God!
do we.
I'm
Like
a weak
like we
bitch.
do. Come on.
I'm a weak bitch.
It's very true. All of us are sticks, so we really don't have anything to
Speaking
show
of-
off.
Let's take a dive into Austin's ranking from last week.
Let's do it.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Ah, gotta love it.
I have opinions.
Yeah. So last
we
week,
are aware you have opinions.
last week, Austin crowned as pop punk champion, Nickelback.
Yes,
If you saw that part,
we have the video to prove it.
we have proof.
Mm-hmm.
Disgusting.
But other than that,
Swine,
what,
all of
what
you.
don't you like on this list, Steph?
Bowling for Soup is not a pop punk band. They are a comedy pop band. I will stand by that. They're great. I have seen Bowling for Soup live many, many times.
Mhm.
It does not make them a pop punk band.
If you're making fun of the genre itself that you are implying, that is a very punk thing to do because it means they don't give a shit about anything, which classifies them as a fucking pop punk band.
Also, technically, Nickelback is the most hated band in the world, which also is very punk. So therefore, they're pop punk as well, which is perfect why they're number
why
one.
they're
I still
number
don't
one.
understand why they're the most hated band in the world.
I don't either.
Wait,
I
yeah.
like Nickelback.
You know who I hate more than Nickelback? Trapped. They
Yeah.
fucking suck.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a consensus around the entire music community, apparently. Just Trapped is just
Their music
Trapped.
sucks.
Yeah.
Personally,
Fucking-
they are not great.
Hey Austin, did you see Foranger's comment? He said
I did
won,
not.
He said I won the debate last week with my pop punk band.
no, you didn't.
Yeah, no, that's what the comment says.
No, you didn't. Though
I
I know
did.
that for a fact. You didn't win that.
According to Foranger, I did, and that's all that matters.
There was a legitimate
I
team.
literally cannot read the top 10, and I don't remember what it is. It's so
I'll pull
small.
it up for you.
Well,
I
Austin,
had
would you like
the
to give a recap of the top 10 real quick?
Yeah, sure, I can. If we're going at this, since it's already up, I'll read off. Number 10, we had Bowling for Soup,
No.
rightfully placed. 9, we had The Offspring. It's very well placed. I know that a lot of people are more into The Offspring, but it more or less just got me into pop punk rather than associating with the band itself. So we got that. Yellow Card at 8.
I also
I
wouldn't
say-
put Yellow Card as pop punk. They're more rock.
Oh, what?
They're
so-
rock.
No.
They are a rock
No.
band.
No.
Yes.
Sum 41
They're
at
pop punk
number
band.
7. Love that. Like I said last week, got the crowd surf all the way and knuckle the singer. So that was pretty dope. Love that. We had Paramore after that. Haley Williams is the
You
bomb.
approve of that one?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Paramore. Okay.
Paramore could be a little higher, but
I made the point that they got too big too fast.
It's very true.
I can see that.
yeah.
But also, they were on Twilight, so that was definitely going to happen.
Oh my god.
They
Yeah, that is
really
true.
they fed into that. That's how I discovered Paramore. Here I am, currently in the middle of reading Eclipse.
There you
so
go.
I'm thriving.
Number 5, we had Newfound Glory. I think it's rightfully placed despite all the issues that they've had. They're one of the golden ages of pop punk.
Aren't they going to
and-
be here soon?
Yeah,
I think so.
next week
November?
actually.
Oh, never mind. Sooner than I thought. After that, which this one is infuriating. 4 Years Strong. They are clearly a fucking pop punk band, and people need.
No,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Again, not right in that pop punk genre.
In the coming ages,
They are
when-
nearby. I don't think they're in.
they are.
The
In
genre.
the sense, they are clearly a rebirth of the style of pop punk in a heavier sense. Therefore, by placing that, they are a pop punk band.
No.
Yeah.
If they're going heavier, then they are a heavy band. They are not a pop punk band. Pop punk band is more traditional vocals.
Shout out to Denny for always trying to shit on me with 500 bits. Gotta love that.
Thank you, kind sir.
Thank you, Denny.
I would also
Appreciate
point out
that.
last Friday we saw 4 Year Strong play, which Austin wasn't able to attend to. I don't think we see a lot of pop punk bands that have people leaving the pits with broken anything, in my opinion. So,
Correct. And I could see people breaking stuff in 4 Year Strong.
well, technically we did. So,
Then we had at number 3, we had one of the golden ages of pop punk and Fall Out Boy. They just
100%.
Steph and I just recently saw them along with another band that we're gonna name after this. That was just entirely awesome at PNC. It was a great show. Pete Wentz, work on your scream, fella. I know you're getting older, but damn, like you got to still have that golden mentality with it. But
That
still,
is
number
Triple
3.
Man.
We have at number 2, Green Day. Properly placed. I still have the greatest hits album somewhere in my house, and I still play it on time to time. And then finally, the number 1 pop punk band of all time,
Nickelback.
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 Yeah.
Just- yes.
Ford is donating some bits now too, and
I
Denny.
know.
yeah, trying to get
I
it
love
going.
that. Keep going, guys.
trying to
Thank
get
you
into
very much.
donate off. We appreciate it.
I want to say something real quick before we move on.
Oh no.
If one more person tries telling me that My Chemical Romance was a pop punk band, I'm
No.
gonna fight somebody.
No.
I'm gonna fight somebody.
My Chemical Romance is
They're
emo.
more emo, yeah.
They're emo.
They
Yeah.
are an emo band. So don't keep telling me that My Chemical Romance deserves to be on the list when they don't fit the genre.
Also, shout out to the Used for making us realize that emo bands were woke before woke was cool.
Yeah.
I stand by that.
We wouldn't have 50 Shades of Grey without My Chemical Romance, so.
You, again, with this conspiracy
guess so.
theory.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
I don't want to.
I don't want to know either, yeah, so.
Oh,
I don't know.
Hey,
great.
Denny,
It's
thanks
great.
for subbing Grind Project to the channel. Grind Project, why are you not subbed already?
He
He's
comments.
He's calling you out, Foreigner.
Yeah, he comments every Tuesday. What the hell?
Just saying.
Yeah.
He's
But-
just along for the ride.
As we all are, man. That's what we call it, life. But yes, I stand by that list. It's not a very popular one. I don't give a shit. That's how it works.
My
As we
biggest
move
agreement
on-
is Blink-182. Good job on that one. They're special to me.
Yes. All right. Let's enjoy the topic we got going tonight, guys. Dead by Daylight. Steph actually introduced me to this game to a reason that I don't know why I was not playing it earlier. I think it's because I actually had to buy it, but because it was available on Game Pass for free.
Cheap ass.
That makes sense, though. I could relate to that.
I think it was like $40, $50 on its regular basis, but then it went
It
to
has never been $40 or $50. You're making that up.
It
You're pulling
has
that
to
right
be.
out of your ass.
for
No.
how popular it was, it had to be.
No, it's
There are games that are not
$30.
popular that are like $60.
It is $30 on Steam.
Regardless, I didn't want to spend money on it, and then it came to Game
There
Pass
you
for
go.
free. Came to Game Pass for free. I said, why the hell not? I'm gonna get into it, and I love it. I love every aspect of the game. I'm more on the aspect of playing as a killer than I am playing a survivor. But overall, I love the concept. I love the ability to throw originality mixed with TV and movies in a sense that it creates such a wonderful aura. Notice how I use that aura, Steph. As an aura reading ability. I love it.
Is there going to be puns all night that I'm just going to...
I don't know. I
Did
came up
you
with that one
watch
off
the
the top of
show?
my head.
Yeah, we'll work them in somehow.
Great.
Yeah,
But-
he's the king at puns too.
King of puns, king of segues, and king of everything. That's how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into this. First of all, before we move on, Steph, give us your thoughts on this game, because I know this is like a huge thing for you. Like, you love this franchise. Like, you love this game.
I have over 1,000 hours into this game.
Damn.
The only other game that has this many hours into it on my end is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I 100%ed, and then The Sims, but that's taken 7 years. So, Dead by Daylight is... I don't particularly liked horror games growing up. Did Denny just say RuneScape? I can't. It is 2021. Move on. Move on. Jesus.
In case you couldn't tell, this is going to be a great show.
I discovered it actually kind of accidentally. I added it to my wish list on my Steam profile, and I only started playing this game in November last year. So, and I had a friend who I was talking to. He plays the game, not anymore, sadly, but at the time he was going through some shit. I helped him through it, and as a thank you, he gifted me Dead by Daylight off my wish list. I was not sure I
Wow.
was going to like this game. I was very nervous about it, and because I'm also not a huge fan of like scary things, but this game actually helped me get over it.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of just quickly fell in love with it, and I actually quickly became pretty good at it, which is the first time that's ever really happened in a video game. I ranked up very quickly, and now can't get back there to save my life. But it's been a great time. I started with Killer, kind of like Austin did, and now I'm a Survivor main. So it's very good, and we'll talk about it all night. So I'm gonna stop here.
I like what you did there when you said save my life, but literally the game you have to save your life too.
I did not.
Depends on who you're playing.
Mm.
But I love it. There's just something about like an an essence of a horror game. There's not too many great ones out there. And when you find one that just sticks like this one for how much of an outlook and an outreach that it's affected people and just brought people together, strangely enough, with just the whole point is you either trying to survive or kill the other person. Like, it's a very wonderful aspect. I can't think of too many horror games that give me this sense of joy, if that makes sense, and just playing, and also being so ruthlessly pissed off every time that Steph and I play and somehow I am the first one dead.
You always die first.
It doesn't make any sense. No matter
That
what,
makes
I'm
sense.
just the first one. I'm not even doing anything wrong. The killer just finds me and then sticks on me. There's
I
an
think it's
aspect.
because you play Ace. Ace is one of the
That's
bigger
very true.
characters, so it's very easy to spot him. I play
Yeah.
female characters, so I'm smaller and I can hide easier. I also have a lot of sneak perks, and you don't.
It's very true. But yeah, there's different aspects of how amazing and how infuriating this game is, and we're gonna get into it. So before we keep going on and on, let's get into our first radical ranking of the evening. In aspects of Dead by Daylight, you are either a killer or you are a survivor. Now, it's not as big as a fan of I am of the survivor aspects because it is 100,000% more stressful on the end of a survivor than as you are as the killer. The killer, you're just trying to make sure that you hook everybody and that's it. The survivor, there's a lot of tension that goes on in this thing. The basic aspect of this game is that you're trying to power up these generators to open up the door so that you can escape. I can't tell you how many times that I've played when I was a survivor and like 3 people are on a gen and 1 screws it up. When you screw it up, it creates a bang and the killer is notified of where you're at. I have never seen so much rage out of people than when someone screws up a fucking generator.
I believe it.
Yeah.
It's
I believe it.
amazing. I love when that happens because you just stop and you just stare.
Like, really? Like, come on.
It's like, we were so close. What the fuck? Like, but yes, there's a lot of aspects to the survivor angle that kind of find it a little interesting for me. So I figured, in essence, I'm going to dive a little bit into my uncomfort zone and talk about the top 5 Dead by Daylight survivors. So, Steph, you might want to help me along the way here, but I think that overall, I think all these are properly placed.
We'll see.
Good,
Hopefully.
good answer.
Oh yeah, she's got her judging eyes ready to go.
I own every character, so like, we'll see.
So the pressure's on.
It is. Let's talk first on number 5, William Bill Overbeck.
You're already out.
Nope. As most people, maybe most, I don't know, but Bill was originally from the Left 4 Dead franchise, and I loved that game growing up so much. The fact of a survival horror zombie game. I thought it was properly placed that, given how popular he was in that context, to have him thrown into this aspect of Dead by Daylight. Now, granted, he's a little bit older and a little bit harder to master, but once you do, you're set.
Thoughts?
Here's my thing with Bill. He is not an easy character to play, but he's one of the ones you get with the game. He's a freebie, basically. He came out in a DLC. They now just have that included when you purchase the pack. So I got Bill right away. He was one of the first characters I ever played. Bill has 2 good perks, Borrowed Time and Unbreakable. The only one that's regularly used is Borrowed Time, in which when you take somebody off the hook, if they get hit by the killer again, they aren't downed again. They have like so many seconds of invincibility, basically.
Okay.
It's a great perk. A lot of people use it. I know I use it. However, Bill has a big build. He's very fucking loud when he is injured. So he's easily... the killer always finds Bill. I hate loading into a lobby with Bills because I just know they're going to get hurt, they're going to die, and then they're going to be jackasses in the chat afterward.
So what makes him such a hard character to master?
So survivors and killers are based off of different things: height, speed, and then their 3 perks. He's a bigger height. He's not very fast. He's obviously loud as fuck, like I said. And his perks are good if you have borrowed time and unbreakable. His 3rd perk sucks. It is only good if it's the end of the game or you're the only one left alive. And it's just, you can sense where the hatch is, which is an alternate route of escape. He's just not great. When I see Bills in the lobby, I just know it's going to not be a great time. They're going to die first, or they're going to abandon you if they do manage to live. So Bills are just not it for me.
So there can be multiple of these characters in the game?
Yes.
Yes.
You could have, my favorite thing to do is load into a lobby and everybody be the exact same character with the exact same cosmetic, and then just fuck with the killer. I did it recently with Michael Myers. It was a great time.
It's a big strategy to have. No, that's an honest thing, is that when people have the same outfit, the same look and everything, you're like, well, didn't I just hook you? Like, what the hell? Why is there another? And then you realize that there's 3 other ones. You're like, ah, shit.
You confuse the shit out of the killer, because then they don't know exactly who to target either, because you want to get 2 hooks, but they can't see how many times they've hooked you.
Oh, okay.
So
Exactly.
they're hooking the wrong one, and they're just not getting the kills they want.
Right. So while my Survivor main has been Ace for a while, I actually started out with Bill. And yes, he is hard to master, but I've gotten to the point where, like, I can understand it quite a bit. It does suck when you get hit, though. I will agree with that,
You're loud
because
as hell.
yeah, I mean, you're an old man that has a smoking addiction that is trying to fend off for his life, that you're just picturing like, damn you teenagers, I just want out of this shit.
I
Like,
think he was, in his lore, I think he was also one of the only survivors that was taken on the brink of death. The rest of them were just
Yeah.
like nabbed, and he was
Yeah.
dying, and he was taken, and he was brought back to life. So like, I think in his lore, he feels the effects of that, which makes him louder. I think he's the loudest he's the loudest survivor character. It's awful.
loud isn't always bad, though. So we'll move on right
this
now
it
to
is.
our number 4. One that I appreciated very much from the film franchise. This is the only one that I believe is actually in a popular TV show or movie. Laurie Strode.
No. She has one good perk, and she's annoying. Austin, this is not going great for you, buddy.
For 2.
Well, we'll go into it. Why? What's her number 1
Oh,
perk?
that's a good idea.
Decisive
for
strike.
him.
Decisive strike is the only, and it's only good if people can get it. Do you know how many times I've missed the stupid little thing of decisive strike? I don't even equip it anymore. It's the worst. And then it makes you the obsession, which just makes, and it also pisses off the killer. So it just makes you a tunneling mark.
I don't know. I firmly believe that the popularity of this character alone, of how much of a badass she was to fend off one of the greatest horror icons in history, being Michael Myers, it comes with its own thing. Yes, it's going to be a little bit hard to work that character because of how difficult the character is to die originally. Like, it's a fucking amazing thing to have in a sense of ability. I don't know. I love Laurie to death. I played it from time to time. It is a little hard, but I enjoy, because for me, I just feel like I can hide easily. I can get out when I need to. And if I do things right, it works out.
They also need to desperately fix her character model.
Well, didn't they fixed her look, and it pissed
did.
off so many people.
It's worse. She was
Yeah.
ugly before. It's worse now. And now her head glitches. So if you have a certain cosmetic on, she just doesn't have a head.
Poor Jamie Lee Curtis.
It doesn't even look like Jamie Lee Curtis.
No.
No,
Like, if
not at
you're
all.
gonna do Laurie Strode, at least make it look like her. They have all the rights to Halloween, which is what pisses me off, is that they they used his lore, they used Michael Myers' look, and then Laurie Strode looks like that. I'm like, what the fuck did you do to her? She's one of my bottom. I won't play her at all.
It all depends. Grind Project with that comment. Love that. Just a quick reminder, make sure to drink your Coors Light every day. Always ahead of you, Foreigner.
Shameless plug in the chat, too. We love it.
I love it, man.
It never
I'll
ends.
drink.
Foreigners helping out.
Yeah, that's very true. We appreciate the love.
With that, we will move on to our number 3. I believe this is one of the original ones. Quote me if I'm wrong or not, Steph, but Meg Thomas.
Yeah, she's the original.
I love the originality of this character to a sense. The perks are all wonderfully. It's like it's a survivor that you start out with and you know you're going to be okay because it is a building block relationship as trying to build your stuff up for survivors or killers. I think this is one of the easier ones that people start out with because it firmly helps you along the road because it's not too difficult to master.
She's a top tier survivor. All three of her perks are great. She's one of the smallest character models. Her cosmetics are not overly obnoxious, so she's easy to hide, and she's quiet. Her perks are fantastic. I use her perks all the time. She was my starter character. She's not my main anymore, but I will play her if like I have a challenge or something like that. But I have most of her perks installed on my main characters.
What makes her perks so good, Steph? Like what entitles her? Like what's good for her?
So one of the things in Dead by Daylight, for you guys who haven't played it, there's these things called window vaults. So if you're being chased, then you can vault over these, but it makes a loud notification noise and can alert the killer to your location if you're trying to lose them. She has a perk called Quick and Quiet, which she can fast vault over that, and it doesn't make a noise and it doesn't alert the killer.
Wow.
So that's great. She also has a perk called Sprint Burst, which if the killer's catching up to you and trying to hit you, you can suddenly start running very quickly, but then you have the exhaustion status effect for so many seconds, depending on what level the perk is. But it gives you a quick little burst of speed so you can get away from the killer faster. And her final one is amazing. Adrenaline. If you are downed at the end of the match and the final generator is completed, you can get picked back up without any assistance and just go. So if the killer leaves you alone and you're downed and then the final gen or the gate is opened, I believe, you just get up like nothing happened, you're healed, and off you go.
Wow.
So
It's very,
she
I mean,
is
you're rolling the
fantastic.
dice. You're rolling the dice essentially on if that killer is going to pick you up or not, but it is a wonderful perk to have. I know a lot of times when you down someone and there's someone else near you, it's the smarter thing to go after the other person and leave that individual there when there's only like two people left, because we know that that person's not going to get up. So instead of rather trying to hook them and find that person after, you can just down the other one and then hook them both, and then your fate is sealed. Like you're all good.
Yeah, it's better to leave and slug than to hook and then lose the other person to either the hatch or the door. So.
Right.
Okay.
Number two, one that I hate playing against, but is wonderful when you're playing as this survivor, Feng Min.
I love Fangmans. Bunny Fangs, best. Absolutely amazing. They're so much fun to play with.
It is this was like the first survivor I ever tried to like kill when I was the killer to start out with. So infuriating because the perks are so fucking awful to deal with. Steph, go into a little bit of detail on the perks of Feng Min.
I don't remember all of her perks. I don't play her that often. So she has a couple. So Lithe is similar to Meg's Quick and Quiet, where she can go over a rush vault. But as soon as she lands that rush vault, it still makes a notification, but then she has kind of like a sprint burst. So she kind of has both of Meg's perks. She rushes, and then she runs. She has a sprint of 150% her speed. So that's pretty good. Technician is really good if you suck at making skill checks, like Austin.
Barnacles. I'm gotten better.
Gotten better
Gotten
does
better.
not mean you're good.
That means you're really bad and now you're okay.
Okay.
So technician, if you miss that skill check, it doesn't make that explosion noise. It kind of just rattles it. You lose some of your progress on that gen, but it doesn't make that noise. It doesn't alert the killer, and you're safe to continue working on the gen. And then alert is kind of just like a sensory one. So you can tell where the killer is if they break a pallet, damage a generator, and their aura is visible, so you can see them from where you are, and then you know to avoid that area. So alert's probably her least best perk. Lithe and technician are definitely her two big ones. But she's very good at just absolutely fucking with the killer. I have never met a more trolly person than someone who plays a Fangman.
Yeah, you can piss off a killer quite a bit with this character. And
Love
yes,
that.
I have gotten better at fixing generators. Thank you very much. But we'll
Better
move on
does not mean good.
to our number one. This is Derek's main survivor. I know that he still plays this game. I know that everyone is in more or less kind of the census of this is the number one survivor, and it's Claudette.
No.
100%. 100%.
No.
Why not?
Blendettes are not fun to play with. They just hide the whole time. I hate Claudettes. I hate Claudettes more than I hate Bills.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, all her perks, in my sense,
Are not good.
I like her perks.
Self-care, you heal at 50% your normal healing speed. So that time that you could have been spent working on a generator, getting your teammate off a hook, you're just fucking standing in the corner going, hoping you're healing. You easily get busted as a Claudette. Her botany knowledge, not great. All it does is increase med kits. Do you know how many Claudettes I see that have botany knowledge as one of their perks and then don't have a fucking med kit? That's the only reason that perk works. And they just don't bring one. It is frustrating.
Isn't that more on the player though than it is on the character?
Correct. But if you have a perk that only affects one thing, it's just not great.
All depends.
And if the killer has Franklin's Demise, which when you have Franklin's Demise and you hit the survivor, they lose whatever they're holding. So even if they did bring a med kit, they could easily lose it. Franklin's Demise is one of the most popular killer perks. I very rarely come across a killer without one. And then Empathy is just not great. It helps you find dying or injured survivors so that you can heal them. But I don't know many Claudettes that actually do that. So
she's calling you out, Derek. If you are watching, she is calling you out.
So who would your,
don't
who
remember
would your
Derek playing
number one
Claudette.
be?
My main is Kate Denson, but I would not ever put her as a number one strictly because her perks aren't great, but her character model, her voice, things like that is pretty good. She's also based off Taylor Swift, which is hysterical to me.
That's kind of funny.
She is a country singer from Pennsylvania who moved to Nashville to get big.
Yep, that's Taylor Swift, all right.
And she's
much,
this blonde. She's Taylor Swift.
Okay.
They based her pack. She came out with the clown, who's based off John Wayne Gacy. So they just kind of
Paired those two together?
they paralleled them. It was very strange, but I don't. My number one would actually probably be Meg Thomas. She has 3 great perks: small player build, quiet. She's easy to play, and also I've never met a more brave person than someone who plays Meg and just fucks about.
So small and quiet. That's like the opposite of Moorhead.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I would
trusting
consider
my opinion.
myself. I think I would consider myself small in my height and stature.
Height-wise, yeah, you're a little short, but like personality-wise, you're not.
Yeah, you ain't no small personality, bud.
I am not. That is for sure. Well, obviously, differential opinions coming to mind. I stand by this list. I stand by your opinion. There's no hard
You
thing on
always
me.
stand by your list, no matter how wrong they
Kind of
are.
have to.
He has to though.
You have to.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the gimmick.
Crown in place.
Yeah. It's
let's
also
move.
super glued. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's hard to get off sometimes. We will now move on to our second radical ranking of the evening. In Dead by Daylight, at least from my understanding, the killer is the most important person in this game. There are a lot of good ones out there, which we'll talk about later. There are also a lot of bad ones that people play as, and I don't understand why.
Okay, I actually did want to make sure that we had that right. You're talking about like killers that are just horrible characters in general.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. Not basing it off the player, because if the player sucks with a good killer, that's on them. So I don't have that issue. I'm
I
pretty
was gonna
good.
say that's
So.
probably
Yeah,
talking about
I
yourself there.
surprisingly
There
no.
are
I'm
people that can play these killers very well.
Yeah.
That does not make them good killers.
Gotcha.
exactly. So let's move on with our first one. Number 5, Amanda Young, the pig. I don't like this character, Steph.
Why?
This
You
It's
can boop
very
the snoot.
hard.
Wait,
This-
Wait, say that again.
Boop. So
you
you
boop
can
the
do
snoot.
you can do two actions that are like signals in Dead by Daylight. One you can point, and the other you can go like this to call somebody over. If you point and you're looking at the killer in the, especially so Amanda Young tends to be the same height as a lot of the survivors. So
Yeah.
if they point while crouched, it touches her nose of her pig mask, and it's a sign where if you boop the snoot, that tends to end up making them a friendly killer, and you can kind of have a grinding game instead of a actual fight game.
Okay.
People also do this with Ghostface and Michael Myers, but instead of the crouching, they crouch and go up to Ghostface and Michael Myers, which is in line with their crotch, and then they shake their head up and down.
So wait, so boop the snoot is what you're saying.
Boop the snoot, like with a dog.
That sounds like a Saturday night at Austin's.
You see my frustration with that, though, is that you're not trying to do that. The whole objective as a killer is that you're fucking trying to kill the person. You're not trying to boop anyone's snoot or anything like that.
If I face a pig, I boop the snoot. If she kills me in the process.
It's worth it.
Also, she's a sneak killer. She's the same as Michael Myers' Ghostface. She's quiet
Correct.
and sneaky, and then all of a sudden you're dead and you don't know how the fuck it happened. And she's got the bear traps.
Here's what I'm going with that. The main problem with the pig, which if those that aren't imaginative of horror knowledge, this is the killer from Jigsaw, from the Saw franchise. You
She was
only
also a victim.
have what?
She was also a victim of Jigsaw.
True, yes. That turns out to work with Jigsaw and become the eventual killer that helps him out. The bear traps, if you get it correct, it's great. But if they find a way to get it off, you're then depleted of your fucking bear traps. And then what do you have to work with? You're just a sneaky killer at that point. So it's not a less how that works. It's just not a great objective if you have that great ability and it gets figured out very quickly, you are screwed as a pig.
But the bear traps are her passive. They're not her original weapon. They're not her
original.
attack.
Yes, I get, but it helps you. It's supposed to help you. And it can go right down the middle of 50-50 if it works or if it shouldn't. And when I'm maining a character as a killer, I don't like those odds. I'd rather take a chance on somebody that has better understanding and better calculations of that. That's just my main problem I have with her.
You mean Ace, who's the gambler of the game, and you're mad about the 50-50 odds of Amanda Young?
Listen, the gambler of Ace, I love to assume is based off Denny in real life, and I love it.
Oh, makes
I
sense.
hope
why-
not, because Ace is not a great survivor.
Well, Denny's not
Yeah,
a great
he's
gambler.
not a great
sometimes.
gambler either. Yeah, so it's perfect. Yeah. What do you think about it?
Oh man. Let's move on to number 4. I don't like this character just based on he's not very fast. The ability is okay if used properly, but a lot of times it gets fucked up. Hope I'm saying this right because this name changed. Jeffrey Hawk, the clown.
So Jeffrey Hawk is his assumed name after he changed his name after his father found the severed fingers from his murder victims under the crawl space. Very John Wayne Gacy. Also, yes, one of the worst killers. Not great.
Go into detail of why the ability frustrates people, Steph.
So the clown has 2 vials that he can throw. One is purple, one is yellow. The purple one is like a poisonous gas that affects, if a survivor runs through it, they scream, alerting the killer to where they are, but their vision also blurs. It's like having drunk goggles on, and it can slow you down and make it easier for the clown to come up and hit you and down you. The other one, the yellow one that he throws, he can inhale it. He moves faster, but he also shows your aura. So either way, you get alerted, you're found. But he's very, very slow. And also, he's just creepy as fuck. He is the
He does look
one
creepy.
killer. His Mori, which is when a offering they can give where they can kill you by their own hand instead of hooking you and sacrificing you to the entity. They all have different animations when they do this. The clown's is he stabs you. As you're dead, he looks at your hand, cuts off one of your fingers, and then sucks on it like a lollipop.
Huh.
and then puts it in his pocket.
Saves it for later.
Yeah.
Correct. He has a ring of keys that are fingers instead of
Oh.
keys. He is not a favorite of mine. He creeps me. Also, he has this horrible like cigarette cough laugh he does when he when you run through the gas. It is the worst. Ugh. He makes me uncomfortable.
Huh.
He does have a very good perk, which is very annoying. It's called Pop Goes the Weasel. When he
That's funny.
when he hits a generator to damage it, it does like 50% more damage than it normally would, and it totally screws your progress on a gen. Even if you were almost done with it, it'll go down to almost 30% complete if you were 90% complete. The rest
I mean,
are just
Yeah, it's. I love to think of if anyone has ever seen this documentary. I think it's one of the most hilarious documentaries that's meant to be scary. It's called Wrinkles the Clown.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a clown that is hired to scare like people's children.
Mhm.
So if a kid's like misbehaving and if they're not acting right, they'll call Wrinkles the Clown and be like, "Can you scare my kid?" And it's
yeah. Instead of therapy, let's give him trauma.
sometimes
Quick.
it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Quick fix. Yeah.
It just
But,
means therapy later.
Yeah, the way that I associate the clown with being on this list is if you have to have of your ability to try to help you out, but at the same time it damages you, that's a damning thing that I just don't want in my killer mantra. And overall, like, he's one of the slowest characters in the game.
He's
Like,
very
it's
slow.
just, unless you're like, if you're outside, God help you, because you will lose every time.
Yeah, he's an okay killer if you are lucky and get an indoor map.
Mhm.
But with Dead by Daylight taking away one of their indoor maps, it's just not great because once you're out in the open, if you miss that throw of that fucking vial, sucks, buddy. You're not getting that kill.
Yeah, indoor is a lot better because there's no like.
There's no hiding spot.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's not a lot of like open air for the vial to travel indoor, so it sticks better. But if it's outdoor, it'll go with the wind and everything. It's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
So-
it does have physics like that in the game. So
Yes. Let's move on to number 3. Charlotte and Victor Deshays, the twins.
yeah,
Oh, is this the one
Fuck.
that's like the conjoined twin that's still attached?
Yes.
Oh, that's creepy as
Yeah.
fuck.
Fuck this.
Very
Fuck
creepy.
this thing. The main thing that I hate about this is the ability's not very great. And what it is essentially is that you as Charlotte can throw Victor off your body and Victor can run around, but it has this leaping ability that if you can lunge on to a survivor and it attacks the survivor, and then you can go back to Charlotte and find out where the noise is coming from.
it
If
shows
you
the
miss-
aura of Victor. So as long
Yeah.
as Victor's attached, you can find the survivor.
If you miss,
They can yeetus that fetus and just whack.
exactly. That's literally what
I wish I
happens.
was kidding. I wish I was kidding. You can kick Victor, who is the size of a baby. But you can't say baby on, like, if you're playing the game and you're like, oh, Victor's a baby on Twitch, you, like, get banned because you can't talk about hurting children on
Oh.
Twitch.
Jesus. Yeah, overall, it's not one of my favorites. Charlotte's actually not very fast to begin with. I don't like a lot of what her perks and Victor's perks and everything of what it does. It was a nice idea of originality that Dead by Daylight tried to introduce, but I'm just not very much of a fan of the two twins in general.
It's not. They're. I had to look up their perks because I genuinely couldn't remember a single one of their perks. They're all bad. They're all bad. Like, I wouldn't put this on any of my killers. Like, one just tells you when someone opens a chest. One, like, makes a difficult skill check on a gen, and the other, you can increase your lunge range, which with Charlotte, which just means you, like, throw your thing farther. It's not very good.
Yeah, just not a very great character to begin with, man. It was a nice touch of originality, like I said, but it just wasn't my thing. Number 2, one of the most, I guess I would say one of the most later characters that got introduced to the game. I hope I'm saying this name right. Ji Woon Hak, the Trickster.
The Trickster.
Just not a great one, man. Like, not at all. He literally has the least amount of damage that you can deal as a killer. And Steph, I'm gonna let you go into more detail on this because this killer infuriates me just talking about him.
I can tell you're getting angry there.
I like the Trickster personally.
I wonder why.
Leave me alone. But yes, he is probably power-wise one of the weaker killers because what he has two modes of attack, kind of similar to the Huntress, which I'm sure we'll talk about her at some point. But he has throwing knives, and he also has a spiked bat that you can see him holding in his picture. But the throwing knives, they actually just recently buffed him. It used to take, you had to hit a survivor 8 times to injure them, and then another 8 to down them. Now it's only 6 and 6. You can put extra things onto your knives, such as offerings, whatever, that will actually make or add-ons or offerings or whatever. It'll actually down them faster. It'll down them in 4 or 5, depending on the level. The bat does the same amount of damage as anybody else's main weapon, which is just 1 hit injure, 2nd hit down. He did recently also get buffed in his speed. He was very slow when he came out. Like,
You would figure that he wouldn't be slow based on his build, but yes, he was very slow.
so his slowness was actually not a purposeful thing. It was actually a kind of a glitch in their system. They reused a running animation from another killer that was slower, and they didn't update.
Okay.
So they realized pretty immediately when people were pissed off about it and fixed it. And then one of the more recent updates, he got the buff of the 826 knives. He is very creepy, but not like clown creepy. He speaks in Korean. His voice, there's not a lot of killers that actually talk in the game, and he does. He's also the only killer that when you're waiting in the lobby, he turns around and looks at you through the screen.
Oh,
And he
That's
winks
cool.
at you. And when I tell you, I bought him immediately when he came out. I downloaded his DLC, and I'm sitting there, and I was waiting for my friend to get on, and I look up just in time for him to and he's bright yellow eyes, and he turns around, and he winked at me, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? I'm sitting at my computer like, there's no way that just actually happened, and I am drunk right now. What the fuck is going on? I was terrified, so I
That
sat
would be
there.
pretty terrifying to
I
see
sat
that.
there and I watched my screen until he did it again. I went, okay, he's supposed to do that. So now when I'm waiting in a lobby, I turn him around so that he won't look
around.
directly through the screen because it freaks me out.
You imagine how many people were shocked initially, like you were,
Yeah.
Steph, that
Oh yeah,
that happened. They're probably like, okay, something's fucked up.
absolutely not. 'Cause none of
something's
the
here.
others do that. They all just stand there and they stare in the opposite direction. You can't even turn most of the others around, I think.
Has anyone translated what he actually says in the game?
Yes. I can't remember what it is. What does... I'm looking it up
Okay.
because...
I was just curious because if you talked about the fact that this is the only character that actually speaks in the game, I wonder if someone would put in an effort to try to figure out what it is that he would actually be adding to
maybe
it.
it's like a cheat code or something.
That'd be cool.
He says, oh, go away. What the fuck? Reddit. He'll say, let's go at the start of the match. He
Let's
says,
go.
thank you at the end when the game's over. When he gets hit with a pallet, he says, so annoying.
Huh. Not something I would expect to say, but okay.
I can't remember what he says during his Mori because it's longer.
Overall, I'm just not a big fan of the character. I think if you have to
Oh, he
throw
also
your
swears. He
Oh.
swears.
Oh, that's cool.
He says, oh, fuck. When he finds a survivor, he says, found you, or there you are. Upon hooking a survivor, he says, nice. He
Greg's
is
like-
very aesthetically pleasing. killer.
Greg's like, I hope they went into deeper context of what they actually give him. He says, nice.
Nice.
Let's
go.
Nice.
I was hoping for something,
Let's
but
go.
yeah, I like the way you worded that. Aesthetically pleasing. Like
Yeah,
nice
I
way to
just-
spin that.
I just don't like the fact, even if it's buffed to 6 to 8, it's still a pain in the ass to try to use that how many times in order to just hurt somebody, let alone down them. Not my favorite person to play with. I don't think I've ever played as him, just based on that fact. And then we'll go with our number 1. I hate this killer so fucking much. Evan McMillan, the Trapper.
Oh,
Trapper.
this is your number 1.
100%.
This is weak.
100%.
This just makes you weak.
No, it doesn't.
He's so easy to avoid.
Easy to, but you're asking, yes, he's easy to avoid. Are you a survivor or are you a killer in this aspect? This is all based on the fact that if you're the killer, it sucks if you're the killer.
If
And you
you're
want to know
smart about
why?
it.
Do you want to know why? Greg and Vo, in this aspect, you can lay down traps
Okay.
for someone to step in and get caught.
Hence the name.
Yes.
Yes. However, if you don't remember where you put your trap, you can just as easily step in the trap and get yourself hurt as well.
Isn't
You see the aura unless you're right on top of it.
Hey,
It's
I
happening.
don't play as him often. I know for an aspect, I know I've done it. I know Derek has done it where like he's accidentally stepped in the trap. Like it is a painful process that I just don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with the fact that when I have to worry about pallets and all this other stuff, flashlights getting put in my face to make me dizzy. I don't want to have to worry about stepping in a trap that I set. That's humiliating. That's a pain in the ass.
Get better.
I don't need to get better as him. I don't like the Trapper. I think that while he may be one of the easier killers to get used to, it's not my favorite. I don't like the aspect of having to collect traps in order to set them. I don't like that aspect either.
You only have
Oh.
to collect them if you're not smart about it. You start with 2 or 3 traps.
Correct. But there
That
are
should be
players
all you
that
need
run
if you're
out.
smart.
There are players that are run out. I'm not saying I've done it. I'm just telling you that a lot of people don't know that thing. And then when they go and realize that they don't have any more traps, they have to go away from the aspect of what they're doing to get more traps. That's not the point of this. That adds a more of a, I guess you could call it a more resourceful thing of what people try to do in survival horror games where you're limited on stuff and you try to collect it. But that's for a survivor aspect, not a killer. They completely went backwards, and it's 100% why the Trapper is my number 1 worst Dead by Daylight character.
He is the original.
Yes.
Him, Hillbilly, and Nurse are the original killers to the game. So
I don't know. Not my favorite. Vote. Greg, you guys got any comments?
I mean, it makes sense he's your number 1 if he's easy to avoid. Like, if you're playing as the killer, you don't want that.
I just think you have terrible wherewithal if you can't remember where your traps are laid.
especially when you can see their aura until you're right on top of them.
It happens to the best of us. Right now,
Hasn't happened to me.
let's move on to what I'm most excited for. Our fine, loving, great debate. All right. This was the first great debate that I had to give to in advance.
And I hate
Because
you for
I
it.
wanted. Hey, I'm happy you loved it. There's a lot of originality in the killers that are put in. They have backstories, they have abilities, they have a great sense of what that is. I want to point out that Grind Project says my name would be the rapper. Are you rapping people to death, Grind Project? I'm curious here.
Lyrically or physically?
I don't
That'd be
know.
interesting.
That is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yes, we were all assigned to create our own Dead by Daylight killer. A backstory, while they look, their ability. I'm so excited for this because, again, Creativity is what flows through the RankKing's court's veins, and they're about to be spilt all over the ground in bloody fashion with this.
I thought Coors Light spilled through your veins, but that's just I could be wrong on that one.
Hey,
Third
I
plug
would-
of the show. Nice.
if Coors would rather go through my veins, I'd happily accept it. So
Now, what happens if we all have the same one like it happened?
there's no way we're gonna.
You
Well-
never know. You never know.
Well, here's the
I
thing.
swear.
Here's the thing. Based on the order that Grind Project just gave, it's very possible we'll have some similarities come through.
I don't know. Listen. This is. I would hope not. The order, of course, is Steph, Greg, Vo, and then myself. This is the first time I think for a while that I've gone last, and I'm fine with it. So
Until we steal your
Steph.
idea.
Yeah, really, that'll be
I-
fun.
makes sense. Steph, you are up first.
Okay.
You are creating your own Deadbite Daylight Killer. Let's go.
I went overboard with this. I'm gonna tell you now.
Hey, we're totally cool with this because we did not. So by all means,
Okay.
Hey, you don't know.
yeah.
So, I took inspiration from ghost stories such as The Woman in White. Most similar associations are like La Llorona, things like that.
Mhm.
But I took it actually based off of a ghost story that comes from Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Ooh, okay.
So
Home story. All right. All
I'm
right.
super. If you ask me about cryptids or ghosts, like, I'm gonna tell you about them.
I
know too much. Do you know what Pennsylvania's local cryptid is?
No
I do not know.
It's called
Oh,
it's called the Squanch.
yeah. Thank
And
you.
it is known, it's what it's known for is it is so ugly, all that it does is cry. You can only tell that the Squanch is nearby because you can hear it crying in the bushes. That is our cryptid.
That sounds like Austin after too many Coors Lights.
Austin,
That's very
New
true.
Jersey gets the
sometimes.
Jersey Devil, West Virginia gets the Mothman, and we get Squanch.
Eh,
Which is interesting because it's another play on, for some reason, Rick and Morty has used the character of entitled Squanch or Squanchy, and all he does is just say, "Oh, we're gonna go Squanch."
That's true, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering why
not
that sounded
even-
familiar. Okay, that
Yep,
makes sense.
It's
now.
not
Rick and
even
Morty
like
is our cryptid.
related in any way. But if I had to relate this to anything, Steph, I kind of think this would be going back to when we talked about Bill, the Left 4 Dead franchise, which is I want to say the witch. I want to say if that's right. It is a woman that literally is a creature that literally just sits and cries, and you're to avoid that. If you startle it, it'll come right after you, and it's an instant down.
You're comparing that to the Squanch and not to my OG killer?
No. I'm just saying the aspect where you said all it does is cry.
Yeah, all it does is cry.
Yeah.
That's what the
that's
Squanch
what I'm
is known
going
for. It's very ugly. You should look up a artist rendering for it. It's very funny.
on. Oh god.
So anyway, my character would be called the Drowned. She appears as an average height woman in a white sheath dress, wet, clinging to her skeletal body. She has ragged, wet, long blonde hair covering parts of her face. She's pale white with blackened eyes, water stains coming down her face like tears, and her mouth is hung open in a permanent scream with which water occasionally trickles out, and she has no shoes on her feet. She's just barefoot.
Okay.
Her lore is her name was Frances Franny Burrell. She had it all. A beautiful home, a wonderful husband, and a beautiful little boy. In 1890 New York, that's all you could ask for. Until one day her husband came home with his mistress, forcing her out of the home she cultivated and keeping her child away from her. After being forced by her husband to enter Crotus Prun Asylum, which in 1890 was actually the equivalent of divorce, fun fact,
Huh.
she slowly lost her mind after being tortured by a nurse. I'm tying her in here. She eventually escaped, breaking into her former home and stealing her son in the dead of night. She took her baby boy to Russell Park Lake and held him under till the bubbles stopped. She left his lifeless body on the shore of the lake and then walked in, rocks weighing down the pockets of her white sheath dress. As she was running out of air, she came to her senses. Struggling to get back to the surface to try to save her baby, her strength left her. Just as her eyes were closing, a fog clouded her remaining vision, air filled her lungs, and she woke up in a place she didn't recognize. With strength she never knew in her old life, only one goal filled her mind. She had to find her baby, and she would kill anyone in her way.
Wow. Okay. That's badass, actually.
Yeah. So I included a new map, which would be Russell Park. Her difficulty rating would be intermediate. Her weapon would be called the Lachlan, which Lachlan is a Celtic word for meaning land of the lakes. And it would be similar to Nemesis's tentacle whip, but it would be waterbenders from Avatar. She would have it in her hand, and it would whip out, and it would knock you. Her power would be called thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep lakes. The drown can leave a trail or pool of water similar to a survivor's scratch marks and Freddy's dream snare. This trail is barely visible to survivors, but the drowned can see its aura. If a survivor spends more than 5 seconds in the water of the drowned, they suffer from the exhausted status for 15 seconds and are visible to the drowned for 7 seconds. Her passive would be if the drowned is stunned by a pallet more than twice in a match, instead of having to destroy the next few pallets, they can phase and simply walk through it. This effectively destroys the pallet. Which there isn't a ton of perks that in the game that stop pallet stuns. I think there's only one, and it's a Bubba perk, and nobody wants to play Bubba because he's the fucking worst. I can't believe he wasn't on your list. But anyway, her perks would be if I can't have you, which you become obsessed with one survivor. If the obsession is hit by you, you gain a token. Once 3 tokens are collected, you can mori them without an offering. Very similar to a Michael Meyer perk, I believe. And then her next perk is no one can. If a survivor is suffering from the exhausted status, they are unable to work on generators, totems, or heal other survivors until the status effect has ended. And then the final perk is Baby's Cry. The heartbeat and red stain of a killer appears in a different direction than the actual killer's presence, confusing survivors and driving them right into the killer. And that's my killer.
So that's dope. I just want to throw that out there. Can we actually get a fucking hand? Can we get a hand for that? Like, honestly, guys, like Overboard, yes. I fucking love it, though. I didn't even ask for perks or anything, and she went right with that. That's her dedication.
You asked for powers. Perks are powers.
I asked for ability. Just the ability.
Yeah.
Well,
but it doesn't matter.
That could be a real
overall,
character, though. That sounds like it could be in the
overall, Steph, that's the most creative I think someone has been in this aspect on the show. And for that, I got to give you a hand because that's honestly incredible. Like, I would play that killer in a heartbeat. So
would I.
Mm-hmm. Did I spell that right?
ED.
ED.
Good job, Josh.
That's for Josh.
Presence of the
I
misspelling.
don't know why I forgot the E there.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
It has been a long day.
Also, shout out Grind Project. You give a shout out, Steph. That sounded sick.
I did see that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
All
right, Greg. I'm pumped for this.
This is not going to be nowhere near as anything close to it. I did kind of give Steph my idea for it, and it's weirdly enough, it's very similar to what she kind of came up with, actually. So like, for the record, like, the way that I kind of based mine off of was I was trying to figure out a killer based off of a rare occurrence that happens every so often. And the reason this came to my mind, I don't know why, but it was leap year. So February 29th, how that happens probably every
4 years.
4 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So I looked on Wikipedia trying to figure out like folk traditions with it. And I came up and I saw the thing about how in Ireland and Britain it became a thing where women were able to propose to men on leap years. So every 4 years they were able to do that. So I came up with a horror concept based on that called The Bride.
Like it.
Ooh, okay. Go on.
Okay. So I came up, her name is Rebecca O'Shaughnessy. Okay. So picture, if you will, a fair, Irish lass, freckled, glowing orange hair. All her life, she fell in love with a man that she waited until leap year until she could finally be able to propose to her. And apparently in Irish customs, there actually is punishment for not agreeing to the proposal. It's more like monetary.
Oh, shit, no, really?
It's more monetary based, but it's nothing like too over the top. But before she's able to get the chance to, the year beforehand, he actually marries a woman that she considers his rival. Her rival, I should say. So during that time, she plans to get rid of his wife by being able to take him for herself on leap year. So on February 29th, what she does, she finds a old fisherman's net.
Okay.
And there's a fisherman kind of like a net because basically like there's a famous postcard with it where like, as a joke, a woman gets a net over a man trying to like catch them for themselves on leap year. So they take that. Then she fashions a spear next to the net as well and attaches them. So in the middle of the night, she's wearing a white wedding dress with green gems on it. She kills her husband and then puts the net over him as a symbolic gesture to say, "You are mine now." Obviously, that doesn't go over so well. She is sentenced to death by being stoned. She is tied to a post in the middle of a courtyard, and as the stones are being cast upon her, she promises one day that she will find her love again. And obviously, right before she takes her last breath, she wakes up in the middle of the game.
The fog has
So,
come.
right. So my appearance of her, think of almost like a zombified version, obviously, but she still has the wherewithal. Like, her mind is still there. She has flowing orange hair. She's wearing a white dress that obviously is mucked up because stones were thrown at her. And the beatings all over her face from the stones as well. I don't know much about the abilities with regards to the game, so I kind of was trying to figure out something where, like, with the net, it affects male survivors, and with the spear side, it affects women survivors in a different way. So, like, male survivors, like, it can slow them down if they're hit with the net, and for the women on the spear side, it would essentially, I don't know, injure them in some sort of way or something. But that's what I came up with.
Greg, you doubt yourself a lot with your creative outlook, my friend. That was fantastic.
I know. I liked it when he said
Fucking
it to me. I was
hell,
like,
Greg.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me that, oh, it's not that good. It's all right. Fuck, man. That was awesome. I love that. I love the whole, I pictured almost like as she's proposing, like she's drinking an Irish Guinness. Like, I'm just loving it. I know you, like Irish
Well,
breakfast.
maybe a little more gruesome because I'm picturing her killing his wife and then basically like putting a net over him saying, "You are mine now."
I love that though, man. That's
one.
awesome. Congrats to that.
Thank you.
There's creative outlook flowing in the studio today, guys. I love it. Gleeful. I'm drinking Coors. I'm having a good time.
Coors does make us happy. It's very true.
That is true.
Yeah, Forger says he loves the leap year story to it.
Thank you. I appreciate
Love it. Love it, man.
It's very
But-
pagan, to be honest.
That's what I was going for.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna go downhill.
Oh, shut up.
Let's go, Bo.
What do you got, Vote?
All right, so my killer, his name's gonna be Hank Hamilton. He's from the Hamilton family, who they're a bunch of farmers in a small town.
Okay.
And Hamilton, they make
Alexander Hamilton?
not Alexander Hamilton. They have pigs. They make ham, obviously.
Obviously.
So that's where the Hamilton comes in. But
I love it. I love it,
But
dude. I love
okay,
it.
but Hank Hamilton doesn't like his family's like view on life, their values. He doesn't want to be part of the farming family. So what's he do? He lets all the pigs loose. Lets all animals loose. So the family suffers. They lose all their money because they can't produce anything. So they shun him from the family. So then they kick him out of the family. He disappears for a couple years until one day he comes back. And he just murders the whole family because he's angry that they started the business back up. He's angry they shunned him from the family. So he comes back, and then he's also, his look is like a scarecrow because he comes back to the farm and he watches over the farm so nobody else can start the business back up.
Ooh.
So his abilities, since he's a scarecrow, he has bird vision. So you can focus on any of the survivors. It like zooms in. You just follow it through. You see them running through the maps and everything.
Okay.
He's pretty stealthy because he's a scarecrow, so he can just stand still, just looks around with the bird vision. You add both those together, and you have Hank Hamilton, the scarecrow.
That would be a fantastic tracking killer.
That's fun.
Vo, whether you know this or not, it's awesome. There are crows
In
in
the
the
game.
game
Are there?
that legitimately, like, if you go by, I'm assuming this is what it is, but if you go by a crow as the killer, it like kind of leans you more to where the survivors are.
What if you could like see through the crows?
That's what I'm
That's what-
saying.
yeah,
like,
that's what-
you
that'd
can
be
see
badass.
through the
Basically,
eyes
the
of the
crow's vision.
crows.
There is a perk in the game that, like, if a survivor runs past a crow, it alert you, but there's no like visual. They can be gone in instant, basically. So there's no visual to it really, and that would be awesome to be able to see through the eyes
like,
of those crows.
I'm
They're
just
all over the map.
Picturing like you're playing the game, you hear footsteps running, and it just zooms in, like, and you see them, the footprints, like in the dirt or wherever.
The track
map
marks,
is,
yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
No one thought this was going to be good when we walked in. And I am legitimately so proud and impressed of the team right here. This is amazing, guys.
I'm surprised I didn't need any drugs for it either. So hey, bravo to me.
That's very true. But we have Coors Light, which is always our drug of choice. So, all right. I love that bow. I love the Scarecrow. My killer is going to be known as the Wrangler.
Okay.
Okay.
Is he wearing Wrangler jeans?
He's Brett
I
Favre.
knew somehow I knew that was going to be a question. He is wearing jeans, but I don't think they're Wrangler jeans.
Okay.
Not as stretchy. They're not as like stretchy. But the killer's name is known as Samuel Rowland. Okay. So picture New Orleans. All right. This guy literally is all up and about of basically living as kind of like a hermit in the swamps and knowing everything that is going on for the talks of the town. But he makes friends. Surprisingly, he fits in with a lot of the, like, I'm trying to see if this is right or not. I don't know if it's crocodiles or alligators, but it's like of the gators that are in the swamps, and he learns how to train them.
Okay.
So much that he sends them out for food, not knowing that these gators would come back with bodies that pollute the swamps. And everyone starts taking notice of people going missing, the swamps getting worse and worse, and just a rancid smell in the air. So what the townsfolk end up doing is they go to the swamp in an angry mob fashion. They hold him in the swamp water, pour gasoline in the water, and light it ablaze.
Jeez.
To where he burns from the shock of everything that is going on, and he eventually succumbs to his wounds, to where he is eaten by his own gators. The game then teleports him in. I love the concept of this character so much that I had this notion, because I always wanted to just be creative outlook and just create a character of a killer just in general. But picture 6'6", lunky bastard, fast, but almost like fast to the point where like a man of his stature, like of muscle bound.
So he's lumbering.
Yes.
Okay.
Burned, torn overalls, boots with a flannel over or underneath it. His ability is, I just love this. He can call upon the spirits of gators to track down survivors, to where a gator will bite a leg, not only wounding the survivor, but making notion to where that survivor is, so he can then follow the trail. The main weapon of his is actually a rope coated in barbed wire.
Okay.
I don't see that a lot in games, and I think just by hitting someone alone with a barbed wire covered rope alone would hurt. But also his what's the thing for it, Steph?
Mori.
The final Mori, yeah, is him wrapping it around the neck of the individual and pulling until it essentially pops.
Oh.
Pops right off, man. I love this aspect of it. Yes, the ability and everything would go along, the weapon of choice, and all he is trying to do is take back the soul that he rightfully lost. He believes, being that a hermit, that things just come out and are given to him. So he's tired of giving, in a sense, and just wants to take at this point. So his hope is that once he finds that true survivor, he'll be able to steal his soul and return to the living world.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically just described Steve Irwin if he was born evil instead of wonderful.
An evil Steve Irwin.
I don't necessarily know if that's what it's. Oh man, but no, in an aspect, I drew a lot of inspiration from my love of the city of New Orleans and Louisiana and everything that goes along with it. There's a lot of point that I try to get more of like the boiler or something where like, you know, instead of cooking shrimp, he just boils bodies and unwillingly serves them to people. But that kind of goes along with more or less the cannibal. So I veered away from that and went with someone completely, entirely crazy, bent on just being shunned and scared of the world. So there you have it, folks. There is the creativity that flows through the veins of Thoughts from the Bench.
We all need therapy, folks.
Yes, we do. Grind Project, I appreciate you. He says, damn it, Austin, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, fella.
He doesn't know who to pick. He thinks they're all pretty good.
It's going to be a tough one, man. I appreciate all the creativity and influence that went into this great debate. I think it's our best one yet, surprisingly. I think it's awesome. Now what we'll do is I'm going to grab another Coors. We're going to take a quick commercial break and be right back with our top 10 ranking of the evening.
Hi, I'm Josh. I like pizza. Do you like pizza?
When the moon hits your eyes like a big pizza pie.
We've let it coagulate. Show Greg. King of coagulation there.
Coagulation is key.
Homemade Greek ranch.
Do you like watching people eat pizza? Help me, because I'm on the quest to find the best pizza in Pittsburgh.
Hand-forged pizza. Vita Vici. That's amore.
Make sure you're sending in your recommendations for the best pizza in Pittsburgh, because I'm going to go, I'm going to try it, I'm going to hold it to my standards.
It's the aftertaste is the barf. It's where the barf comes
Oh, yeah.
I agree. It's bomb pizza.
Can your favorite pizza place pass the test? Find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the top 10 ranking is here for the evening. I took it upon myself. I'm very biased when it comes to this game. I love playing as the killer. I think it's a thrill that people just have to experience in this game. I just love it. I always main as Freddy Krueger. I'm actually a level 40 Krueger, so I'm keeping it real with that, and I'm keep going with the nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
But as it pointed out in my Instagram ranking, I did my Instagram ranking of the top 5 TV movie Dead by Daylight killers. This one, we are talking about the top 10 original Dead by Daylight killers. So these are all killers that were concepted and progressed by Dead by Daylight, and just how great these killers are.
I also have a feeling that you really like being the killer because you have an affinity for hooks.
I don't know if that's true or not. If that would be the case, I would have seen Candyman by now, which I need to see.
Well,
I heard it was good.
I was more referring to...
Candyman?
What?
You haven't seen Candyman yet?
Not the new one, no.
Oh.
I was more referring to your affinity for hooks from the SpongeBob episode. I've been hooked.
I'm gonna be real. I didn't watch that episode.
SpongeBob. Hell. But yes, we are talking about this. I asked Steph to have her top 10 Dead by Daylight killers, and we're going to go off and we're going to see how this is. I'm going to give my 10, or no, she's going to give her 10. I'm going to give my 10. We're going to domino effect from that and see who has the better list.
I hope G-Wound's in your top 10.
He is.
I knew it.
God damn it.
All right, let's start with Steph's number 10. Who you
Thank
got,
you.
Steph?
So my number 10 is the Deathslinger. Oh, I didn't know if there was a picture for some reason. I was confused for a
No,
second.
No.
for your
So-
picks, I'll just have the words.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Deathslinger he's he was from the 1800s. He was a cowboy, and he ended up getting into some issues with a rival of his who was stealing his inventions. One of those being a harpoon gun that he used to lighten his prison sentence that he got sentenced with by catching outlaws. So the first time he ever used it, it literally disemboweled the person, and then he ended up refining it so that it would just injure and capture them. But he's a long-range killer, which I think is really good, and he can shoot you through anything. Like, you could be on the other
Ooh.
side of the wall, and as long as there's a tiny opening, he can just... And you're stuck there, and if you're already injured, it downs you. And if you are not injured, he can literally reel you in like a fish and then smack you with the blade at the end of it. And then you're down. So you can be one hit screwed against the Deathslinger.
Yeah, I think one of the first times we ever played Dead by Daylight.
The very
on
first
Twitch-
game I ever was teaching you how to play, we played against the Deathslinger, and I went, "Sorry, buddy, you're on your own."
I literally, I'm again.
He
I'm just
died
walking
within like
through. I'm
30
just
seconds.
just
Aww.
trying to do my shit, and I get harpooned in the back, and I said, "Fuck! What the hell was that?" Like, I had no idea. And they're like, "Oh yeah, this guy can harpoon people." I'm like, "Well, that would have been fucking great to know. I would have zigzagged or some shit." Like,
So you have to zigzag.
Wait. What would you do? Zigzag?
yes,
Dude.
zigzag. I know.
All right, there you go.
That's a good one, Steph. I haven't really played as him much, but he is enjoyable when he's playing because he's more of those long range attacks that he's better at rather than just up close and personal. So
Yeah, I'm not good at FPSs, and he's the closest to an FPS in the game. So
we'll
not good
move
at
to my number 10, Max Thompson Jr., the Hillbilly. This makes me think of one of the first times we ever played, and
I think this was
Dennis-
the second game we ever played.
so Dennis came on, and Dennis was the Hillbilly, and in the waiting lobby,
Yeah.
You're
I just
goddamn
go,
fucking
I go-
perfect.
"Hey guys, I'm Dennis." Hey, It was one of the great clips that we had that everyone just broke into like laughter. Was not afraid of Denny the whole time that he was fucking chasing down people.
I'm looking at this picture and it just looks. I would have assumed this was Leatherface without his mask.
So he's based on Leatherface.
He is?
So
Okay.
they at first did not get the rights to Leatherface. They ended up getting them later, and they had to change the hillbilly a little bit. He was one of the original killers in the game. So when they released this game, they're like, "Oh, we're never gonna get deals with
Right,
movies."
yeah.
So they were loosely based, and then life changed.
Yeah, the lore is interesting as well because, as Steph said, it kind of goes along with the Leatherface persona before they actually had the rights and called him the Cannibal. But he was very disfigured at birth and was not accepted by the family so much that they forced him in a hole in the wall and put bricks in the hole.
They cask of Amontillado him,
Yes.
basically. Also, they didn't give him a name. His name was not originally Max Thompson Jr. He gave himself that name after he killed his parents. His parents called him Boy.
Ah.
Yeah, so he took it upon himself and escaped and murdered the entire family in response.
And the farm. He killed all the animals, too.
Kind of like yours.
Yeah, kind of like my villain.
Yeah.
Overall, it's very kind of like, as Steph said, one of the early ones to start out with. One of the more easier ones, too, except his main ability is known as the chainsaw charge. And again,
I hate this one.
it literally, you take out a chainsaw and you rush like so far ahead, but it is only in like one direction. So if you miss,
can't turn.
you're fucked. You are completely fucked. And it is so amazing as a survivor to troll this character with this,
I bet.
because like I said, as soon as Denny pulled it out, I was like, "Oh yeah, Denny, come on with the chainsaw, you chainsaw Charlie!" Like fucking screwed it up.
I think
like,
we made fun of him that whole match.
Oh my god, it was ridiculous. Shout out to Denny. Always love you, my friend. Yeah, that's my number 10. As great as the character is, it's more of an easy play, and I kind of look for more of a challenge, and I just don't really like the ability that comes with it. So, Steph, you are up for your number 9.
My number 9 is the Oni. He gives me the spooks.
What the so fucking low?
Yeah.
Holy, explain yourself.
I hate going against Oni. He has the same fucking charge. He has a slight curve turn. That is all that's different about him. And then he spends 10 fucking seconds going on a survivor who's already really fucking downed. Like, he could be doing literally anything else while doing, like, getting the survivor that's probably hiding right behind him, fucking teabagging him. Like, it's not. He spends too much time doing other things. The only thing Oni's really good at is so if he injures a survivor, these like blood things come out of you. They look like little orbs, and he can literally, he can trail you with them, which kind of fucking sucks. But then he can absorb them, and it increases his power, which allows him to do that charge. But it takes getting that charge takes forever. And if he doesn't hit survivors right away, sucks to suck, buddy. You're not getting anything. And also, he's just, his lore's okay. He's a dickhead. And he gets killed because of it. Like, that's his lore. He's a dick.
I'm honestly very surprised that Oni is so low on your list.
He wouldn't be on the list at all if you had let me put in movie killers.
Holy shit. Holy fuck. That's crazy, man. All right, I mean, I take your opinion as it is. It's not bad. It's not good. It's your opinion.
Wow.
We'll move on.
Wow, it's not good.
We'll move on to my number 9, which was in fact, Steph, your number 10, Caleb Quinn, the Death Slinger. And we've already touched upon it. It is for those individuals that are very long-ranged, that associate more with that. Surprisingly enough, I think a lot of people that have played like Call of Duty prefer this character because it essentially has that ability to shoot, far away and reel in that opponent. Steph already touched on the lore. I love this character. It's just that he makes up with the long range because of his slow ability.
He is very slow.
But I love still like playing him. It's still fun. Your number 8, Steph.
I really debated putting him even lower, but he is a good killer. So my number 8 pick is the Doctor. He infuriates me. I hate playing against him.
Austin is so mad right now.
I don't care. So the Doctor, one of the things he can do is he has an electrical current, and he can like squeeze his hand, and this big electrical current comes out. And if you get struck by it, you scream. So it's a great power to like find survivors. However, if you get a person who doesn't actually want to fucking play the game, they just run around the map doing that power over and over and over again. And then they find you, then they knock you, then they leave to go keep doing that till they down everybody. And then you all get hooked. You can't get off the hook. You die. It's a shitty camping perk. It's really fucking boring to play against. The only alternative is to hide in the locker. And if they have the fucking Iron Maiden perk, you scream when you leave a locker. So it's just a pain in the ass. I hate playing against the Doctor. Not a fan. Also, terrifying. Absolutely. His face.
Obviously, he
very
will
freaky.
be on my list, guys, and you will see the picture, and it is frightening.
He's
It's awesome.
terrifying, and I hate it.
I'm assuming higher up, I'm guessing, on that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Yes,
what I
very
that's what I
much so.
figured, yeah.
Judging by his reaction, yeah, I'd say higher.
We all know his number 1's going to be Freddy Krueger, so we're already disappointed.
Krueger can't be on the list.
Oh, that's right. Never mind.
So I went out of my way for this one. So my number 8, I think one of the first killers that Derek played against us, and I loved the fact that every time he did this ability, he just was like, "Hey, what's up?" And, like, freaked us out the whole time. My number 8 is Philip Ajomo, the Wraith.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Because his bell goes bing bong.
Now, is that
so-
something you just call him, or is that
No,
like, in
that's
the
like
game?
a community thing.
Okay.
There's also I don't know if you'll mention him, but the Blight, he has like a charge and he
Mm.
just smacks against things and like so we call him ping pong.
Okay.
Yeah, so I love the lore of the Wraith. He just basically came trying to make something of himself, and what ended up happening was he went to
His lore sad.
scrapyard and threw his boss into the crusher. And
You're missing
but-
why he did that though.
I know, but I just love the ability. I mean, go ahead and explain why he did that if you know. Like,
So-
I'm just reading off the thing because I knew I was gonna forget at one point. So
That's
I
fine.
have my
So
evidence.
his parents and grandmother and a family friend that was taking care of him were all murdered by a guerrilla war that was happening in his country in Africa. They don't specify what country it is, but he kills them all in his sleep as they're sleeping. And then he makes his way to America where he gets a job at Azarov's car dump.
It's like
basic-
construction site, yeah.
Yeah. And his job is to crush cars. He knows that his boss is doing some shady mafia shit, but he doesn't know what. He one day is crushing a car, sees blood coming out of it, stops to save the guy. His boss comes over, shoots the guy in the head, and then says, "Every car you have ever crushed has had a body in it," which he then is infuriated by. He beats up his boss, rips his skull and spine out of his body, which is his weapon that he's holding. It's called Azarov's spine. And then he throws the rest of his body into the crusher, crushes it, and disappears.
Damn.
So
Yeah.
the bell he
Violent as-
has was given to him by his father, and the spine he uses to beat the bell is his boss that he murdered.
Oh wow.
Damn.
The cool thing about this character is for a short moment he can go completely invisible. To which I said Derek would pop up, and it was almost
He'd
like
be
that.
right behind us.
Hello, motherfucker, like kind of thing. Like it, as soon as like you can kind of tell at times like when he's near and he's invisible because the screen will kind of like flash a little bit, but he pops up and you're like, fuck, like it does not alert you at all, and you're like, shit, and you just have to try to run because he will fuck you up in
Yeah.
any way. I love this character so much. One of
There's
the
no
early
heartbeat
ones,
or red stain when he's invisible, so it's really hard to see him.
one of the first ones that I loved playing against just because I could like teleport and come out and be like, hey, what's up? And just fucking slaughter people. And it was awesome. Steph, you're number 7.
So my number 7 was your number 8, the Wraith.
All right. Well, yeah, that going on. I mean, do you go into detail why he's a little bit lower on your list? Is it the same reasoning for?
Yeah, he's one of the original killers. His power just isn't that great. He's original, but he's nothing special. I enjoy playing him. That's why he's higher than like some other ones, but he's okay.
One thing is for certain is that Vo and Greg both have to go home and download this game so they can play
Correct.
this as well with us.
It really isn't that scary. Like you might get jump scared a little bit when you're dealing with a stealth killer, but you'd be surprised how many people are just like there to fuck about, and you'll find a ghost face that's like doing peekaboo over a wall, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but at least I'm not being murdered.
Reminds me of all those times that we had all those clowns pop up that were just popping their heads up over walls and shit.
I hate clowns.
That'd be terrifying.
I hate clowns.
was.
I'm not a
I've
clown
never
fan.
met a nice clown.
That's very
If
true.
Forager
Not
wants to
even
play the game too.
Dude, download it. It's free on Game Pass. It's awesome.
I don't have Game
Oh.
Pass.
Get Game Pass. It's literally like.
When
what,
it's not
fucking-
free.
Christ. My number 7 might seem a little bit lower than what most people appreciate it as, but I'm going with Talbot Grimes, the Blight.
Oh, he's not on my list at all.
Really?
I hate him. This is ping pong, by the way.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I love the aspect that the Blight has in sort of like a personality, persona, what he does. Let me read off.
He
his-
doesn't remember his personality though.
I think that's awesome, though. It kind of reminds me of like the Joker in a sense, where like he doesn't really remember. He just makes up all these stories about like because he literally has no fucking memory of it. But I love this quote: "To understand the human condition, one must rise above it." So the Blight was like basically just a popular, like charismatic person that just what is it?
He
For
did
days-
human experiments.
Yes, he did a lot of human experiments and just kind of went on that man. Like, he was brought back when he was on the edge of death and found himself just on, what is it saying, on a small bed as a kindly wrinkled face looked over him. With each painted breath, he was nursed back to health in an ancient mystery school posing as a monastery, which I think is fucking fantastic. But there's a lot of like chemical compounds that go into this killer. Steph, if you want to go into detail a little bit.
So his power is he has these injections that he'll shoot into himself, and that allows him to run at very, very fast speeds, but he has no control. He just literally bounces off walls. That's why he's called ping pong, because all he does is rebound off these walls. You can't really tell so much in that picture, but his entire body and his face is very melted because he was doing part of what caused his guilt, basically, is he was doing human experiments on prisoners, and he found out he caused like the death of thousands of people, which is not what he wanted. He was trying to make like a superhuman impoverished pain because this was apparently during World War I, and he ended up just killing a bunch of people. So he started doing these experiments on himself instead, because if he died, who gave a shit? He'd face his punishment. But he ended up losing his personality and just kind of becoming a dickhead. He's just annoying. He's easy to play against. He's hard to play as. But
Takes some strength to play. I love the challenge of more harder killers to kind of.
You play Freddy Krueger.
That's hard enough. It's hard to start out with.
Not really.
I don't know. I love his aspect though. I love his his literal face is just seeping like kind of chemical lava. And I love that aspect. The origin of his ability made me kind of think of a cross between, like I said, like the Joker and Scarecrow in DC Comics, where like they would inject certain things to make themselves better. So overall, I would say that's why Blight number 7. Steph, what do you got for number 6?
So I have the nurse for number 6.
Oh, shit. What?
I do have her a little low because I can't play her. She is very difficult to play.
Fuck.
She's very difficult to play. She is a fantastic killer. She is not easy to play, and she's considered a starter killer. She is one of the ones that come with the game, but she is a hard level killer, and it's damn near impossible to learn to play her. You're going to absolutely tank your killer ranking trying to learn. There's no tutorial in this game. You jump right into facing people, and if you want to be a good ranked killer, Nurse is not who you play. Her story is awesome. Her name was Sally Smithson. She's who I referenced in my story as the crazy nurse who tortured people.
That's cool.
She was married to a lumberjack. She wanted to have a family. She was a normal person. Her husband dies in a work accident, so she has to get a job at the local insane asylum, which is Crotus Pren, which is a map in the game. She works there for 20 years on the night shift. She slowly goes insane, and then she murders 50 patients and 4 of her coworkers. She's the only survivor, because they don't realize at the time that she was actually the murderer. And then she gets taken away in an ambulance and then kills the people in the ambulance and gets away.
Wow.
She's a ghost. She floats. She's one of the few floating characters in the game. She can warp through walls, and she has this awful screech, but her warps are called blinks. They are very, very hard to control. They're very hard to manage, and if you don't do it fast enough, she has 2 in a row. If you don't do it fast enough, you lose the second one. So, and she's then exhausted for 3 seconds, and she just hangs like this. You can't swing, you can't do anything. So it gives plenty of time for the survivor to get away. So if you're really good at her, you're really good at her, and you're going to do really well. But most people are very bad at her.
I have a question. So, with their backstories, is that in the game when you play? Like, it
Yes.
shows you the whole backstory and
Yes.
everything?
So there's original lore for every character that you get with the character, but then there's these things called tomes that come out every couple of months, and they give more in-depth backstory to both a killer and a survivor. They focus on one killer, one survivor every single time. Currently, right now, they're in tome 7, I think, and it's focusing on one of the original survivors, Jake Park, and the clown. So I haven't been super involved because I don't play Jake Park and I hate the clown, so I haven't been super involved in this tome. But like last one was, I believe Nia Carlson was one of the last couple ones who's one of the better survivors. So
Interesting. I'm honestly flabbergasted.
she's
that
I'm thinking about it in both a survivor and killer play style, and she's easy to avoid as a survivor, and she's not easy to play as a killer.
I must have been playing against experts at the nurse then, because holy shit. Every time I played against the nurse, I've been crushed.
You're also just a shitty survivor.
Very unfortunately not 100% true, but still
not super
I mean,
far
as a
off.
killer, I can't help it. My number 6, I had to assume this had to been based off a concept of this movie. The movie itself was titled You're Next, and if you haven't seen it, it's one of the best survivor horror movies, just because the main girl is not your typical last girl, which in terms of horror movies, the last girl is always like
The one who lives.
the one that tries to stay alive and fight back. This bitch knows how to fight back, and it's awesome. She has like training through like some sort of military style of her family, and it's awesome. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The killer that I'm going with here is Anna the Huntress. This had to have been from Your Next. It has such a combined effort of the killer aspect of the animal mask
When
with
did
how
Your Next
that
come out?
2015, 2016.
So, the Huntress is one of the original killers, and this game came out before that. So
So Your Next stole this from the game.
Maybe. I have to see when it actually came out. I'm just spitballing off the top of my head, but
Look it up.
the lore of this is fucking almost sad to an aspect.
her lore is very depressing. Yes.
Basically, she was just like...
Oh, it came out in 2011.
2011.
So
Okay,
never
okay.
mind.
So she's a little girl living in the woods with her mom, and they basically just scrounge up and try to survive and everything, that old style of just hunting and gathering and everything.
And she's a little girl in Russia. This is Russia.
Exactly. Yes. And they come across an elk, and the elk in rage charges at Anna, and her mother throws herself in the way, killing the mother. Anna takes the axe that her mother had and chops at the elk until it is eventually dead. And something somewhere in there she broke, because after that she started just hunting down people. And the great thing about Anna in this game of the Huntress is that when you play her, she has a multitude of axes that she carries. Now you'll have to go to storage lockers and find these axes if they were to ever run out, but you can throw your axe at the survivors, and if it hits, God fucking forbid, you are screwed. It is in another one of those long distance style of playing that I appreciate. The thing that saddens me about this is that she still has the mind of a young girl because of how broken she was at the start of this. So she couldn't bring herself to kill other little girls, so she takes them into like the woods, and instead of knowing the proper means of survival, she gives them like little trinkets and toys instead of food and water, and they end up starving or just dehydrating and dying. And it keeps just breaking her even more and more, to the point where we get where I have who she is today. I mean, this is one of another one of Deke's favorites to play as, just because he loves throwing axes at people with this.
Could
And
be
if
fun.
you, I mean,
it's like the throwing knife on Call of Duty.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if you think of like, what's that thing you can do in like just axe throwing? Just imagine instead of a target, it's people. Like that's literally what this is, of how crazy this character is. But yeah, I love her. She's my number 6.
I don't know if you know this about her, but the lullaby she hums while she hums the entire time this song.
Okay.
It's an actual Russian lullaby, but when the game first starts out, it's very slow and it's just like a normal pace for the lullaby.
Mm-hmm.
The longer the game goes on and the more people she kills, it gets louder and it gets faster and it gets crazier. So
Like
the longer you're going on in this game, the worse of a time you are going to have, and the creepier it is.
Right. So normal killers, if you're playing as a survivor, they'll come and you'll hear just like this heart just beating faster and faster. You don't get that with her. You get this lullaby that just, like Steph said, it's creepy. It's creepy as shit. Like you hear that and you're like, oh fuck no, I'm out. You don't even want to deal with it, man. It's nuts. Steph.
This girl I follow on TikTok is Russian, and she knows the lullaby, and she sang it, and it was the most haunting thing I have ever heard. I unfollowed her so fast. She freaked me out.
God. Steph, what's our number 5?
My number 5 is the Trickster.
Damn.
I enjoy him.
You and I have different opinions with this shit, man.
That's fine.
Seems that
There's
way.
something about you hitting that power move where after you've thrown so many knives, you get to throw them faster and you don't run out, and you're just whipping them, and then you just down like 4 people, and it's amazing.
Plus, it's aesthetically pleasing.
He's
for her.
also very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Killer. But really, first off, he's basically just a less powerful version of the Huntress to me. And so and Huntress was my first killer. She's not my main killer anymore, but Trickster was just always fun. He's not the best. Like, I'm not going to get a 4K with him, and that's fine, which, if you don't know that terminology, a 4K means you get the highest possibility in each of the 4 scores, and that's 8,000 points. I don't know why it's called a 4K, but whatever. It's the best you can do as a killer in the game. I'm never going to do that well with him, but he's fun to play, and the fact that his music, bomb, and the fact that he talks and he's the only one that does is great. I guess Nemesis technically talks now, but all he does is yell stars when he fucking hits you. So, not really counting.
Yeah, I don't know. I get that logic, Steph. I can't get behind him. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's your thing. I appreciate it for what it is.
You don't have to like him. I just do.
That's true. My number 5 might seem low to people, but my number 5 is Lisa Sherwood, the Hag.
Whoa, she's not even on my list.
I hate playing against the Hag so much. She'll just pop up randomly at times, like through different generators and chests, and you're just like, holy fuck, what the shit, and like you'll just have to run. Like there's no ulterior motive of it. Steph, do you know much about the lore of her?
I do. Her lore is one of the very sad ones where she wasn't a bad person in life. She got a really shitty deal. Lisa Sherwood was a pretty average African girl. She had a grandmother who was into voodoo and did hexes, and she used these hexes to actually do well in college. She had a white, may I add, friend decide to use one of these hexes, which backfired because she's not a practitioner, and she ended up being crushed by a coffin at a funeral.
Yeesh.
Which Lisa witnessed. In her grief, she ran from the funeral, where she eventually passed out from basically just a panic attack. She wakes up chained up in a basement where she finds out that she has been captured by a local cannibal tribe, and they slowly torture her by cutting off chunks of her flesh and eating them in front of her. As she's dying, she casts one last hex and wakes up in the fog as the Hag, which is why she has those lines. It's not skeletal. Those chunks in her skin are the skin that was taken by the cannibals.
Yeah, Foreigner says she looks like a tree.
She does. She actually ends up...
in that picture, at least.
Yeah, well, she actually has a skin that's the Birch from Crypt TV.
Okay.
So that's my skin I have on her in the game. 'Cause she already looks like a tree. Might as well keep it up.
Yeah, I mean, she's just terrifying to play as, terrifying to play against. Her backstory is awesome. And I love that she kind of does that, like, pop goes the weasel kind of thing where she just pops out of shit. And it just terrifies me. Steph, continue on with your number 4. I'm going to hit the restroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow,
we
we-
for 3 more picks.
Wow, we don't take breaks during his show.
Wow.
What the hell?
So my number 4 is the Huntress. We're
There we
circling back to Anna.
All right.
She's... Things that Austin had mentioned is she actually slowly builds up her hunting to people. She starts with squirrels, small game, things like that. Works her way up to elk, and then wolves, bears, eventually hunting people that come in. She actually ends up she's alive during World War II. She takes out an entire USSR squadron as part of her lore.
Damn.
Yeah. So she does kidnap little girls from local villages where she doesn't understand that they need to be fed, and they do starve. A lot of her add-ons and other things that you can find in her lore in the game is like toys that she's given to children, like little wooden toys she's made or her mother made for her. And all of the masks, she has different masks. She has a bunny one, she has a fox one, a bear one, and a wolf one. All were made by her mother because they lived alone in this tiny little shack in the woods. So
I'm assuming it adds to her like
Creepiness.
yeah,
Well,
you don't know what she looks like.
well
actually.
also like her mental state by the fact that she tries to rescue women and they always die.
Just little girls. She'll kill fully grown women, but just little girls. But yeah, she loses her sanity a little more after every little girl that goes. So
Apologies for that, guys. I am back.
You're good. Let's hear your number 4.
All right, my number 4.
Tiny bladder.
Hey, the cores go right through me, man. It happens. My number 4, Herman Carter, the Doctor. I got the Doctor in every. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steph, but when you get Dead by Daylight, you get a one random killer that is given to you. With all the other killers that you have that are originals. Mine was the
PC, you get one. Xbox, you get a different one, and PlayStation, you get a different one. Like it depends on the console you're playing on. And I'm pretty sure Xbox is Doctor.
So I got the Doctor. I loved playing as the Doctor, and I wasn't just one of those people that just did this electrical thing to hear the screams. But if you do them well enough, enough times, they enter like different levels of insanity. And with those different levels, you just start randomly screaming out of nowhere. You'll just be walking by and you'll just see the Doctor there and he's not really there. And also you have this wheel that's given to you on skill checks that you have to hit at the exact point while doing generators or healing yourself. Otherwise it'll fuck up. When you hit this different level of insanity, the wheel is reversed.
Or it moves about the screen. It's not in the dead center like it normally is.
Wow.
So that can really fuck you up.
He's not really fast, but you don't need to be fast when all the survivors are completely out of their mind and struggling to just find sanity again. And that's what I loved most of all about the Doctor, man. He's just so fucking... He literally just did experiments on people and thought they weren't gruesome enough, and that's why he was booted from his program that he was doing.
With the CIA.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Also,
CIA,
if you're super far into insanity, you see like a holographic image of him.
Yeah.
So you think he's right there when he's not. And you get all the alerts, like he has like the red stain, the heartbeat.
Oh, man.
So you think he's right the fuck there, but he's nowhere near you.
Huh.
He's one of the killers that I just love dearly. He was my original main. Now I've obviously switched to Kruger just for based and how much I love playing as him. But yes, Doctor, 100%. He has to be in the top 5 for just the amount of insanity and power. Yes, just the amount of sanity and power that he could produce on survivors. Yes, it is annoying to play against the Doctor, but that's the whole point of getting better as a survivor, is that you could fuck around and stop doing this dumb shit and you can get better. Put the challenge in front of them and they'll overcome it. Or you could be like me as the Doctor and just fucking kill everyone and love doing it. Steph, what is our number 3?
You're not going to like my number 3, but
I don't think I'm going.
my number 3 is the Legion.
Legion? It's my ice hockey team.
Oh, I hope not the same as this Legion. So the Legion, their backstory is they are 4 teenagers, 2 girls and 2 boys. Julie, Johnny, Frank, and I can't remember the other girl. Susie, that's the other girl. And they are these 4 teenagers who are kind of outcasts in this Canadian town, and basically they all kind of get together. They form the Legion. They hang out in an abandoned ski resort called Ormond Ski Resort. One day, Frank gets fired from his job. They go to confront and vandalize his old job, they come across a janitor there and they murder him. And then they just disappear into the night and they're taken by the fog. But what's cool about them is they have this thing called Feral Frenzy where you can basically chase survivors. As a survivor, you can leap over pallets and through vaults just as fast as survivors do. You do not down them if you hit them in the state, but you injure them. And if they don't heal in time, they fall anyway. So if you just keep on them, they don't have a moment to heal themselves. And then you get them for pretty much free. One hit is all it takes if you're a smart killer with it. They aren't a super powerful killer. I personally really enjoy them though. Their skins are how you change between the characters, so you can play as any of the 4 of them.
Oh, okay.
I personally play as Susie because she has really bright, fun hair and a lot of cool cosmetics. So
I hated when I played with Steph, I think, for one of the first times, and she was killer as the Legion, and she fucked all of us.
I did.
All of us that were normally like pretty like still like decent survivors.
Yeah.
The Legion has a really cool perk called Discordance. If more than one person is working on a generator, that generator lights up, and I can see it. So you can go and you can get 2 for 1.
That's pretty cool.
Or even 3 for 1, depending on how many people are working on a gen. But it doesn't alert the survivors, so they don't know until you show the fuck up.
Yeah, this is one of Steph's like big killers that she loves to play as. I don't think we've ever been in a lobby where at one point she wasn't the Legion, and it infuriates me.
I've played
to
as
no
Plague
end.
against you guys.
Yeah, it's true. But my number 3 is the Oni, man. Kazan Yomoka. I mean, just fucking brutal ass fucking killer, man. Brutal. I love the aspect of when you hit a survivor, the blood orbs are there that you just absorb because of your just brutal hatred towards the long story is that he just like he wanted to prove himself more to his family and did it in the absolute fucking wrong way.
He wanted to get rid of fake samurais, so he was part of the feudal area of Japan, and he was a samurai, as was his father, and he just killed samurais he thought were not good enough, basically.
Okay.
Basically, he just killed people that he thought were fake, and also humiliated like different farmers and everything, believing he was better. He was eventually found and just tortured by the community, and he just vanished in the black fog that we get in Dead by Daylight. I just love the ability that if you absorb, number one, like Steph said, you can follow the blood orbs to find the survivors. But honestly, just absorbing them alone makes him a brutal fucking beast. And it's awesome. I love his whole aesthetic. I love just the incorporation of rage so much in one character makes him so fucking high on my list. I think I played as him a couple of times. Just fucking killed Steph, I think, first in the I never get this right. The Memento Mori.
Memento Mori.
Yeah. And I enjoyed doing it. It was a brutal comeback that I enjoyed so gracefully, since Steph seems to always kill me first. So it was wonderful to have.
I target you first.
Yeah, it's
I
bullshit.
believe that. I believe it.
He is pretty easy.
All right, we're on the top 2 now.
What do you got, Steph?
All right, so my number 2 is the Plague. Fitting for the world we live in.
Interesting. All right, go on.
So the Plague is a Babylonian priestess who started as basically just a servant girl in one of the temples in Babylon, and basically the Black Plague comes through and starts killing their people, and she kills her mentor to satisfy the gods so that the plague will disperse. And it does for a little while, but eventually the plague consumes her. She ends up sacrificing some of her own body parts and then eventually leaves Babylon with a few loyal followers who are also suffering from the plague. She does eventually collapse of exhaustion in a cave where she begs the gods for one last sacrifice of her own life so that the people of Babylon are spared. you do learn in her lore that the plague does eventually leave Babylon because of her sacrifice. Because that god that answered her prayers is the entity that takes all of these people and puts them into this world for their own amusement. No one's quite sure what the entity is. It's got spider legs. I'm not a fan. But her weapon is vomit. She vomits on you.
What?
Yeah. She's sick, so if she vomits on you, you get infected with it. If you take too long to heal yourself in one of the mystic fountains that are located across the map, you end up becoming injured, and then she is able to hurt you. If you heal yourself, she can suck up the corruption from these fountains, and then she has a corrupt plague, which if she hits you with, it's an automatic down, even if you're fully healthy.
Wow.
She can vomit on generators, lockers, vault windows, which make you sick if you touch them. If you touch a survivor that's sick, you get sick yourself. So it's very easy to have an entire team infected very, very quickly.
Couldn't she go to every generator?
No, I think she can only affect up to 3 generators at a
Okay.
time. So if she would vomit on 3 and then move to another one and vomit
Would
on
take
that
one
one, the
off.
first one would
Okay.
no longer
Okay,
be
gotcha.
affected.
Gotcha.
She has a really good perk called Divine Corruption, which at the very beginning of a match, 3 generators have the entity claws come out of the ground and block it, so you can't you can't start it. And right where those generators are tend to be where survivors spawn into the game. So she has a general area of where the survivors are to start out with, and it's easier for her to find them. But and she can vomit at a very long range. So I quite like her.
I hate playing against plagues, personally, because again,
'Cause you're bad.
No, it seems to be I'm always the one that's vomited on, which is
'Cause you're
fucking
bad.
ridiculous. It's just so fucking stupid. Like I get targeted for no reason, and I'm actually quite a good player.
You
Like,
do
it's so-
you do strike me as someone that I would vomit on too. Now that I think about it.
I kind of
Thanks,
want the
Frank.
game just to see how everyone attacks you.
Fuck off.
I'm sure
No,
I have
you
some
guys- you
clips
guys
from my
should get-
Twitch of me murdering Austin. I'll see if I can find some.
You guys should get the game though, for real. It is fun to play. My number 2 is one that Steph had obscenely low. I just don't get. I get what she was trying to say, but mine is the Smiley Smiths and the Nurse. It's such one of the most iconic. Number 1, like I said, it's one of the original starting killers that you get, but her lore, her abilities, they're so fucking good. And if you come across a person that is a very expert nurse player, you're fucking done before you get 1 gen even done. Like, it is unreal of how overpowered this bitch is. And I love that. I love that people have the opportunity to start when they first got the game, that they have the starting ability to find, that want that challenge to get the nurse killer and be good at her. I mean, I'm fairly decent. I'm not the best nurse killer, but I've gotten good at it, and I think that it's interesting to play as, and her abilities are fucking awesome. Her perks are awesome. I love everything about her.
Fair enough. I just think she's too difficult for a casual or even a more gifted player.
Which means not Austin.
You just said I'm pretty good at her. What the fuck, Greg? Jesus Christ.
I'll
God
believe
damn.
it when I see it.
All right,
Alright.
fine.
We get down to the final one.
Yep, here we go.
We'll see if you guys agree.
We might. I think we might actually.
think
But
we
Steph,
might.
go ahead.
My number 1 is Spirit. Her backstory, horribly depressing. So she is actually the descendant of the Oni. So
Okay.
it's a family line. She's an average student. She's an average swordsman, which is what the family prides itself on. She just doesn't really have that drive. She doesn't care for it in the same way her parents do. She's in college. She's bullied by her swordsman classmates. She ends up one day being followed by them. They start attacking her, and she draws up the power of her ancestors and beats them to a bloody pulp, and then goes home to find her mother murdered by her father because he's so over the disappointment that is his daughter. He then slices her limbs with a katana, chases her through the house, which she then jumps out of a second-story window and falls to her death. So her father murders her and then takes his own life. So her appearance is her chest and her lower half are wrapped in bandages. Her limbs are literally floating, disconnected from her body, and she has glass all throughout her body.
What?
And it's super depressing because she was, according to her lore, she was a normal, average, just wanted to live her own life person in life. And then she gets brutally murdered by somebody she should love and trust. Wow. So she has a very, very depressing lore.
So she's not really evil inherently
No.
like everyone else.
No, she's turned evil by the entity, which is what's so awful, is that she shouldn't be suffering this way, and now she has to suffer with what happened to her for all eternity for this god's entertainment.
Foreign just said, good lord.
Literally.
Yeah. So, Austin, do you agree with this one?
Yeah, there's no way. My number one is the spirit as well. She is by far the best killer in the fucking game, I would say, because the phase walking ability is so fucking powerful. The
And
fact that you
terrifying.
could the fact that you could just teleport to another part of the map, essentially, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that the survivors don't know, Steph. Like, they don't know.
They can
until she
tell that
pops.
you're phase walking because it sounds like wind blowing very fast, but they can't see you. They have no idea where you are.
So think of like the Wraith, but number one, a longer period of being, invisible, and just knowing the fact that a good scare with that is awesome. The lore for her is incredibly depressing and amazing, and it appreciates the fact that what not a lot of horror today recognizes is that sometimes the person originally doesn't need to be 100% evil in order to be completely turned rotten. And I love the aspect of just her being the spirit, because a lot of times when we talk about like different aspects of religion and everything with purgatory, like, you don't do anything wrong, but you're forced to suffer through this entirely just based on the evil around you. And I think that they did that wonderfully well in this. She is on the level of hard, so she is 100% easier to use than the nurse.
Yeah.
And just everything about her, the lore, the look, the fact that she uses like the katana as the weapon, like, it's just fucking awesome. And also that she's a descendant of the Oni, being that they also have the same last name. It's fucking awesome.
I'm
Yeah,
glad you
she's-
guys agree on the number one, though.
Yeah,
That could
really.
have been really awkward.
Your
if
shit
you
was
did.
all over the place. Yeah.
We didn't agree on much.
You don't need to create good content, and that's what this was, man. I appreciate everything. Steph, thank you so much for being on the show. Your knowledge of Dead by Daylight and our obsession with it is very well thought out and enjoyable here. It only seems to believe that now Greg and Vo have to go home and download the game just so they can play with us and experience true terror along the lines of the shitty things that we call life today. So it's all great, man. Overall, thank you once again to Coors. Can't thank you guys enough. I'll drink this beer until I fucking die. It's amazing. Vo, Greg,
Austin.
Steph, that is my name. Yes.
Ranking.
Thank you to all of you. Thank you to our wonderful fan base.
Thank you, Foreigner.
Yeah, Foreigner for sticking
You're
around,
not
but we
chopped liver.
appreciate it.
This is our 40, let me see if I get that right.
48th?
Our
47th?
48th episode. We're still going strong. I would love to hit 50 and go beyond that, boys. This is fucking incredible. I love doing this every Tuesday, and you can find us again every Tuesday, 6:30 on Twitch. Until then, all our stuff's going to get put on social. You guys will vote to see who's the best. Steph, please close us out as court is adjourned.
Court is adjourned.